I've got DG here who says process tainted, but it's okay. But can you build legally on an illegal land?
Can you build legally on illegal land? Well, there is nothing, when you say something is tainted, it doesn't make it illegal. What we are saying is that the process did not work the way it ought to have worked. So what we are saying is that you cannot kill yourself over that. We had an election in the US between George Bush and Al Gore. If you read what has transpired after that exercise, a lot of people have written that Al Gore won that election. But they went to the Supreme Court said otherwise, everybody moved on. So the society is bigger than all of us. And it's about time that we also begin to look at our society from that perspective. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, the election was flawed because the Republicans claimed that in Chicago the election was practically rigged in favor of Kennedy, and there was clamor for a recount by supporters of Nixon. But the leadership stood up and said, no, there's no need to put the country through this pain. Let us accept the result and move on. You see, these are done for patriotic reasons. These are done for reasons bigger than personal interest. This, to me, is sheer selflessness.
Yeah, but
not looking at things from your own point of view alone.
Do our politicians here do things for the bigger picture or for themselves ultimately?
Some of us must start to do that. And this is precisely what we have done. And we believe that people will take a cue from the example that people will insinuate so many things. It's because he has been given a ministerial appointment.
Yeah, they did say that. Are you going back to the Minister of State?
It is only President Jonathan that can determine who comes back into his cabinet. I can't do that. But what I'm being realistic.
Has that been offered you?
I beg your pardon?
Has that position been re-offered to you?
No. No. But you see, as I've said to you, we want to win Lagos. The only way we can win Lagos is if we are united and people see us as being responsible and ready to provide leadership. For 16 years, we've had a running battle between Lagos and the federal government. We want a government in Lagos that will engage the federal government constructively for the good of Lagosians.
Well, that definitely is the bigger plan for the PDP in the state. But then a lot of people will say that this also reflects on the state of internal democracy across many parties, but especially within your party. This time around, it would seem that you had more bickering than normal. I don't know if you had the time to look at other states where primaries were conducted.
Well,
we've seen parallel primaries in some other people saying no primaries were conducted as well. In fact, some of them, their primaries were held in Abuja, which is totally against the party's constitution. How do you think that your party is going to wade through this sea of disagreement ahead of the 2015 elections?
It will be grossly unfair on your part to ascribe that to our party alone.
Oh, I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
It's a Nigerian thing.
Oh, yes. Senator, just a moment. Yeah. As I was starting that question, I said it boils down to the question of internal democracy across all parties, but especially yours, because you seem to put it, just a moment, you seem to put it in front that your party is the only one that conducts primaries.
Absolutely.
You people have a record for conduct, no matter how faulty they might be, but at least those primaries go on. It's just that people wonder that by now it should have been perfected.
Well, there is no perfection in humanity. I just narrated almost 300 years of democracy, and it has to go all the way to the Supreme Court for a winner to be pronounced. So how also cannot be perfect in 16 years if we just had a 300 and something still going through some of these challenges? It's a continuum, and we must continue to find solutions to issues and challenges as they present itself. We cannot shy away from the fact that what you have highlighted is a Nigerian problem. And it's everywhere.
Why
not
is it
just,
a Nigerian problem? They should say that they have the problem in other climates. Why are we
No. What I'm saying, what you, in terms of our primaries, is more of this attitude of it has to be me or nobody. And it's something that is very prevalent in all aspects of life in our society today. Even in the corporate world, you find situations that you look at it and say, wow, why is this happening in the private sector? So I think it's a Nigerian thing, and we will overcome it with time as we do things, and some of these things are challenged. And that is why I'm happy with what we did. Keeping quiet about things doesn't solve them. Talking about them, challenging them, are the only options to ensure that corrections are put in place. And that is precisely what we have done. We are going to get to a level where all these primaries and general elections will at some point be acceptable. But getting there is the challenge we have now. And don't forget, in some areas, people see as winning PDP's ticket as being in government. So for people to accept losing becomes very difficult, because immediately the primary is won, you have seen that, okay, I'm already seated as the governor or senator or rep member.
But don't you think they'll be wrong this time?
Well, until election is held, I want to believe that we'll still have the edge.
Senator Obanikoro, what if this reconciliation process did not come through? Would you have continued with the court case?
If it didn't come?
Yes.
Well, of course, you will have allowed, we started a process. And the intention was to continue and finish it. I won't start something that I will not finish. I'm not that kind of person. You've got to know me to know the kind of stuff I am made of.
So you would have continued the court case even if it was going to cost the PDP Lagos?
No, that's not what I'm saying. If we didn't have any intervention, we would have allowed the process to finish. It's not going to cost us anything. It will rather strengthen the system, because it becomes a precedent. The court will have to rule one way or the other, and whichever direction it rules, we live with it.
So well, you do know, just a moment, you do know that when you were, I mean, of course, you know that there's power in unity, and you said as much when you were aggrieved that, you know, if we do things like this, it might cost
us the election.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you would have gone on ahead.
No, don't forget.
That is precedent. Even if it was going to
we would have asked for an accelerated hearing. It's not the kind of hearing that we're allowed to drag, because there is a time frame for all these things. So, but what we are saying here, if there were not to be an intervention, we'll have allowed the process to finish. And we know fully well that it will end one way or the other. And when there's finality to it, whatever the outcome of that is, we'll embrace it and move on.
You said something about the president being the only one that can determine who will come back to his cabinet. So if that offer was made to you, would you take it?
Well, it's an indication that I must have done some things right.
Would you take the offer?
The 7 months that I was in office.
Not a matter of
anytime, let me tell you, no horse trading here. You see, anytime you are asked to come and serve the public, I think it makes sense to accept and do just that. I won't be, I'm in politics for goodness sake, for the good of my people, of our people. And if an opportunity presents itself for me to come and manage the affairs of men and women, why will I turn it down?
But politicians look at it as if it's by force to serve the people, the way they go about it.
I went to school in the US. I did public affairs for my bachelor's degree and public administration. So it's a way, for me, it's a way of life. And master's in public administration with concentration in public policy. So it's a way of life for me.
Let's talk about, this letter is making around comments, concerns about what happens, not just before the 2015 elections, after. Because some think that whichever way the pendulum swings, we may just have some reaction that may be more violent than we anticipate. How do you see yourself?
Well, I think going forward, I think the leadership across the aisle must embrace peace, and our body language must also speak to that. When you listen to leaders talk about not going to accept this, not going to accept that, and if it doesn't go their way, they will make the country you see, don't forget that it's the same comment that has led us to the escalation of this Boko Haram, or people saying that the opposition must have something to do with Boko Haram. You see, if you make a pronouncement and over time things that are happening becomes a reflection of that pronouncement you have made, it's very difficult for you to exonerate yourself from that. So the point I'm making is that don't let us send wrong signals to the people. We have no other country but Nigeria. And to move Nigeria forward, we need a lot of peace and tranquility. And in the absence of that, there's no doubt that we're not going to make any progress.
Do you think
that we're yearning for?
Do you think that the PDP will be able to calm all the storms in the different state primaries as they've done that of Lagos before the 2015 elections?
There is no doubt in my mind that we have the capacity to do that. We have demonstrated that over and over again, and you will see that play out in the course of this election as well.
Okay, thank you for coming on. Senator Musili Obanikoro is the former PDP governorship aspirant and also former Minister of State for Defense. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Pleasure.
Right, we're back in just a moment, everybody. Join us again.